March 9, 1945. A single night that redefined aerial warfare forever. This is the story of Operation Meeting House. March 9, 1945. The Mariana Islands, Pacific Ocean. As the sun began to set over the American airfields on Guam, Saipan, and Tinian, ground crews meticulously performed their final checks on a staggering fleet of 325 Boeing B-29 Superfortress bombers. Stretched across the runways of captured territory, these aircraft were preparing for a mission that would alter the course of the Pacific War. Major General Curtis LeMay, the commander of the 21st Bomber Command, had just ordered a radical shift in aerial combat tactics. Inside the bomb bays, crews were loading cluster bombs containing 1,520 M69 incendiary bomblets per aircraft. Their target was the Shitamachi district of Tokyo, an area of just 12 square miles where 750,000 people lived and worked in densely packed wooden homes. The Boeing B-29 Superfortress was the ultimate symbol of the American arsenal of democracy. It had arrived in the Pacific as the most technologically advanced aircraft of World War II, a revolutionary heavy bomber that required over 1.4 million engineering man-hours to design. Representing a staggering investment of $3 billion, the B-29 program actually cost far more than the secretive $1.9 billion Manhattan Project. It was a marvel of engineering, featuring pressurized crew compartments, remote-controlled gun turrets, and powerful piston engines. Building this fleet required a nationwide effort, with manufacturing distributed across facilities in Seattle, Wichita, Omaha, and Marietta, Georgia. By early 1945, Boeing's Wichita plant alone was rolling out more than 4 Superfortresses every single working day, a testament to an industrial capacity that was unmatched at the time. Yet, prior to March 1945, the strategic bombing campaign had been deeply frustrating for commanders. High-altitude precision bombing from 30,000 feet had failed. Crews found themselves battling the jet stream, winds exceeding 200 miles per hour that scattered bombs miles off target. Furthermore, the massive strain of climbing to such altitudes with heavy payloads caused engines to overheat. General LeMay analyzed these failures and made a revolutionary decision. He ordered his mechanics to strip the bombers of almost all their defensive guns and ammunition, saving enough weight to double their payload to 7 tons per aircraft. Instead of flying in tight daytime formations at 30,000 feet, the B-29s would attack at night, flying individually at low altitudes of 5,000 to 7,000 feet. This bold move would bypass the jet stream, save engine wear, and exploit the lack of radar-equipped night fighters. The target selection was as calculated as the tactics. Intelligence maps identified Tokyo's working-class wards. These neighborhoods were the heart of the decentralized wartime economy, where thousands of cottage industries produced aircraft parts and precision instruments in small wooden workshops. To target these localized factories, specialized M69 bomblets had been developed. Dropped in clusters that broke apart in the air, each bomblet deployed a cotton streamer to ensure a precise landing, releasing a highly flammable substance upon impact that adhered to surfaces and resisted standard firefighting efforts. At 5:35 p.m., the first silver B-29 roared down the runway at Guam's North Field, lifting into the twilight. For hours, bombers took off at 50-second intervals, embarking on a grueling 14-hour, 1,500-mile round trip. Without the heavy flight suits required for high-altitude freezing temperatures, and devoid of the heavy defensive guns, the planes climbed efficiently. As they neared the coast, The moonlit, snow-capped peak of Mount Fuji served as their final waypoint. Down below, Tokyo's defense system was fragmented and lacked the advanced fire control radar that guided American anti-aircraft guns. Night interception relied heavily on searchlights. The city of 4.3 million people had limited concrete bunkers, leaving the majority of the population to rely on basic shelters and neighborhood defense brigades. Just after midnight on March 10th, the first Pathfinder B-29s arrived over Tokyo. Flying low, they dropped incendiary markers that created a massive, glowing X visible for miles, marking the target zone for the trailing armada. Following the Pathfinders, the main force arrived, and hundreds of thousands of M69 clusters tumbled into the darkness. The operational impact was overwhelming. Over 424,000 incendiary bomblets rained down on the Shitamachi district. Within minutes, numerous localized fires erupted. Fanned by unusually strong surface winds, these blazes quickly merged into a massive, self-sustaining firestorm. The temperature on the ground surged dramatically, creating towering updrafts and powerful winds that swept through the wooden structures of the city.
For the citizens on the ground, it was an unimaginable crisis. Families were separated in the heavy smoke as they tried to flee through narrow, crowded alleys. Yoshiko Hashimoto, a 24-year-old mother, managed to escape the path of the firestorm with her infant child by seeking refuge in the Sumida River, though many others were caught in the fast-moving environment. Thousands who sought safety in local structures were overcome by the rapidly moving heat and lack of oxygen. High above, the air crews experienced the intense atmospheric reality of the mission. The thermal updrafts from the firestorm were so powerful that they tossed the massive 99-foot bombers hundreds of feet into the air. Airmen could feel the heat and turbulence even within their pressurized cabins. Despite the challenges and scattered anti-aircraft fire, operational losses were remarkably light. Just 14 B-29s failed to return out of the 325 that launched. When the sun rose over Tokyo, the scope of the devastation was immense. Where a bustling, densely populated metropolitan district had stood the day before, there were now 16 square miles of gray ash, punctuated only by the remains of a few brick and concrete structures. Over 267,000 buildings had been destroyed, and 1 million people were instantly displaced. Historical consensus indicates that over 100,000 people lost their lives that night, making Operation Meeting House one of the most impactful and devastating single air raids in military history. The strategic impact was immediate. The localized cottage industries that supported the military infrastructure were largely neutralized, and the workforce was displaced. From an operational standpoint, commanders viewed the mission as a decisive success that significantly weakened the opposition's industrial capability. General LeMay and his superiors believed that dismantling these manufacturing hubs from the air was the most effective way to shorten the conflict. Within days, similar raids struck Nagoya, Osaka, and Kobe. The campaign paused only when the Mariana bases temporarily ran out of inventory. Back in the States, factories immediately ramped up production to maintain the momentum. This relentless application of industrial might and scientific planning systematically dismantled the infrastructure required to wage modern warfare. Today, Operation Meeting House occupies a complex space in historical consciousness. Often overshadowed by the subsequent atomic events that brought the war to its final conclusion, the March 10th raid remains a stark testament to the escalating scale of 20th century warfare. It demonstrated the overwhelming capabilities of aerospace and industrial production,
paving the way for the end of a global conflict. Planners of the impending invasion, Operation Downfall, estimated that an amphibious assault could cost hundreds of thousands of Allied lives and millions of regional casualties. By systematically dismantling the infrastructure from the air, the campaign arguably averted a costly ground invasion. Yet, the history of Tokyo serves as an enduring, sobering reminder of the profound cost of total war, where technological triumphs are forever linked to deep human tragedy.